And welcome to the Factor Uncensored. Tonight we begin with a child endangerment and abandonment case out of Montgomery County. Police are continuing their search for Raven Yates. They found her children, a 12 and a 3-year-old, inside of a dirty home alone and without food or medical supplies. There have been red flags before police found the kids, according to investigators. Now, the children's father, who lives and works in California, says the 12-year-old daughter would often call him and ask for food deliveries. He thought nothing about the request until Yates' mother spotted her in Mobile, Alabama, without the kids who were back here in Texas. Joining me now to talk about this case is Dr. Christine Belliard and licensed therapist Sadia Turney. Just mind-blowing. I was hesitant on doing this segment because I said there could be more that we don't know. Sure. And our reporter here at Fox 26 dug very deep. There's nothing else but what we see on the surface. This mother left these children behind, according to investigators. Your thoughts on this?
I will say this is a case when I reviewed it, my heart just sunk. So for me, I just thought so much about that 12-year-old because there's so much placed on her. And I also thought about that mom. Clearly, she has some concerns that need to be addressed. And not just her, but I say also her family. So one thing I kept thinking about was abuse, because this really is neglect, which is a form of abuse. And there is the perpetrator. There's the ones that are perpetrated. In this case, that would be the children, but also the observers. So that's all of us. So I thought about her family and friends. So I guess my biggest thing is for all of us when we hear these stories, it's not just that's a sad story, but who are we checking in on? Because I thought about her mother, and my heart goes out to her as well, but other family members. When you haven't seen a child that you know is connected to a mother, we need to really ask what's going on. Be willing to sometimes feel like, oh, I'm overstepping, because you really could be saving a life. Yeah.
And Sadia, what is it like for a child to be in that position? Does it become routine? Does it become a part of their life that they expect to be abandoned or left alone?
Absolutely, and it's actually called a parentified child, where a child is given the responsibility that a caregiver or parent should have.
Now, this is different from what we grew up on, latchkey kid. This is totally different.
This is different because you can be a latchkey kid and have safety and know that somebody's coming to provide your basic needs. This mom was completely gone. The kids didn't have the proper resources in the home, and so they're left to not only deal with the physical load, and this 12-year-old, I think, was taking care of a younger sibling at the same time, but they're dealing with the emotional load. I'm a little person in this big world, and if something happens, it's on me, right? And this has long-lasting repercussions. Moving forward, these kids learn how to caregive more than self-care. They prioritize other people's needs ahead of their own. They emotionally suppress because their lives are now built around survival. I can't thrive as a child. I can't function in my own development, learn myself, because I am learning how to survive and take care of everybody's needs around me.
And Christine, will they require counseling? Will they require guidance after this in order to get them back on the right track as a child?
I would definitely say that.
Or will they be changed forever?
Oh, I believe so. I do hope, that was what I was hoping when I heard the story. I hope that they will be connected with intervention services and a good counselor, because the 12-year-old and the 3-year-old are affected. Some people think, okay, well, it's just the 12-year-old, the 3-year-old so young. No, these are critical years when kids really need to be able to attach to a secure caregiver. So the hope is that they will be provided intervention services, which I'm sure they will be, to really process that, one, they are not the problem. When kids are this young, they think, what did I do for mom to not come back? And so that really needs to be dispelled. So this is a critical time for these children to be giving proper services, for sure.
And we want to remind our viewers right now, investigators are still investigating this case. We don't know that all of this information is facts. We're talking about facts. We're just talking, and we want to help parents out there who may have this problem. How often does this happen, Sadia? Do we see a lot of parents leaving their children behind? Not to this extent, but for a time frame that may be questionable.
Absolutely. So I was going to say this is kind of an egregious act, right? For the parent to be in a whole nother state or whatever the situation is, and the kids for 2 months to be uncared for. But there are a lot of micro versions of this where parents, because the kid can do it, it doesn't mean they should do it, right? It doesn't mean that they are developed.
What's too much for a 12-year-old?
All 12-year-olds are different, right? So you have to know your child.
Should you be leaving them, and I'm trying to get some examples for the parents, should you leave them overnight by themselves?
I would say at 12 years old, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There needs to be an adult that's in the home, or a neighbor, a friend. That speaks to the importance of community as well. A lot of us are living in isolation as parents. We cannot parent in isolation, so we have to be able to, if we don't have a built-in community, to be able to cultivate a community to help support us, because it's hard for one person to do it all. But no, a 12-year-old should not be left home alone in the house overnight.
If things are as we suspect and as police say, do you think this mother needs some help? And you hinted at it earlier.
100%. I think it's really easy to blame mom, pathologize her, but I really, I was almost hoping that this is somebody that could be on my caseload. The reason I say is because I'm sure there are so many layers to her story and things that need to be explored. One thing I'll say, mothering period and parenting period is not easy. So it's easy to say, oh my gosh, we can just demonize her, but I'm sure there are needs beyond just leaving her children. I know that they pointed to her Instagram account, and she, you know, has a following, and she really, it sounds like, does a lot of posting and those sort of things. So I am wondering about her mental health status. So really having some appropriate services would be so helpful for her, for sure.
And in the last 20 seconds, if you see something like this going on in your community, at your neighbor's house, what should you do?
You should absolutely speak to the parent, right? And if you're not getting any movement in that area, first. I think it is okay, like Christine said, to overstep, right? We can have compassion and hold people accountable. These are kids that have no power in their lives, and they need an adult to be accountable for them. So sometimes it is an outside member that is going to hold accountability to that parent, and if that doesn't work, then you go above that parent, whatever that looks like.
Do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ladies.